Hello, 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 BookTube. Welcome back to Cheers Kevin Reads, where Cheers Kevin sometimes reads. Like this week. This week I read a bunch of books that are sort of out of my general wheelhouse. Audible, not a sponsor, though Amazon, call me. Audible has set up, if you have Amazon Prime, there are a bunch of free audiobooks that you can listen to on Audible. They've launched this channels feature thing, and then you just get a whole bunch of audiobooks that you can stream. You can't download them, but you can stream them. And there are a bunch of categories, like there's a self-help category, there's a classic sci-fi category, and there's an editor's picks category. I was excited about the sci-fi category until I realized I already own and have read all of those books. So, I mean, thanks for the free Heinlein, but I got it, thanks. But inside the editor's choice category, no sci-fi and fantasy. Some different stuff that I would never really thought to pick up. And in there was one book that I thought was truly amazing. And I mean, this got a 5-star review for me, and I don't give out 5-star reviews. I really, basically, I have to both think the book is good and also really love the book, like, on a personal level. And I'm like, fine, 5 stars. Like, we had a bunch of 4s, but with 5s, I'm stingy. So the book, as you can tell by the title of this video, I would assume, is Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. Now, this is a fantastic story. It starts off with the premise that this teenage girl goes missing, and that's basically the premise of the story. The whole rest of the book is about the relationship of this family dealing with the disappearance and presumed loss, and how their interactions change. The story is told both in terms of dealing with kind of future events that happen after, but then also there's a whole lot of retrospective dealing with how the parents met and the daughter's life, and it's fascinating. It's a fascinating family drama. It reminded me a lot of the soundtrack to Next to Normal in a way, and I feel bad a little bit just because it never occurs to me to read these types of things. Usually when I jump out of my sci-fi fantasy wheelhouse, I end up picking up something and I'm like, oh, it's a thriller, because statistically, if you pick up a book, it's either romance or thriller, right? Those are the two types of books that you're going to find. If you pick up a random book, it's going to be in one of those two. Now, this book also manages to examine issues of both gender and racial discrimination based on the nature of some of the characters. I feel really uncomfortable speaking about. I can't evaluate whether it did a good or a bad job, because I'm not. What I can say is that this felt like it made me empathize with the struggles without feeling like it was ever preachy, which I think helped its message, I guess, in a way. But I think those really kind of secondary points to the story. This is really a character study about family and relationships, and oh man, it made me cry out in public. It was like going on a walk and just trying to be like, I'm fine. I don't cry. I'm not a crier. And yet, tears. It was a great book, basically. So pretty much that's what I have to say. I do feel, though, like it struck me that I have this nagging feeling still that just because this is outside of what I typically read, and I've been sort of making an effort to not shoehorn myself into things. Like, I read business books, I read self-help books, I read thrillers, I read some romances, I read a lot of sci-fi and fantasy, because I love me some sci-fi and fantasy. But because this was like a genre that I just, like, family character study type of things, I don't even know what that classifies as. I think maybe this is like a terrible book in a genre that's amazing, and I have just yet to discover it. If you have similar... If you've read the book and you have similar recommendations, or if you think that you know, like, generally what type of category the book is in, and you're like, oh gosh, you have to read this book because this book is amazing, please let me know. I'd love to hear your recommendations down in the comments, because it could be like, oh my gosh, I just discovered a whole new kind of book. It's like discovering paperbacks for the first time. It's amazing. I'm hesitant to talk any more about this, and I feel hesitant to talk about books in general. This is sort of a whole side conversation. Maybe I should make a separate video on this, but I do feel that there are some stories where even just opening the discussion makes it feel like it feels weird. Reminds me, occasionally I'd see a movie with friends or something, and I'd walk out and say, so what do you think? But it's not over yet. I'm still exploring the ideas in my head. don't try and make me summarize my thoughts right. Don't pull me out of this. And I feel a little bit this way with this book as well. And that by trying to do much in the review sense, I'm still sort of processing. These are still ideas that are sort of floating around. Even though, yeah, I'm still reading tons and tons more stuff. I'm getting ahead. We're gonna have a lot of stuff to cover for the next week's wrap up. Is it next week? I think it's next week. We'll have a wrap up. Yeah, we'll have a wrap up pretty soon. Probably next week. But anyway, let me know, what are you reading? What are you enjoying? What else? Let's see. Give me some recommendations. Give me some stuff that I should be reading, because I've got a long list, but I'm going through stuff at a pretty sharp click, and I'd love to know what you think. Yeah, so let me know, and I will see you down in the comments, or barring that, next week. Have a good one. Cheers.